Pike is Worcester's rock station, and it sounds like this.
You know it's there for true.
More rock.
More rock. More rock.
This.
Rock you like a hurricane.
And this.
I think we should start saying crank it up.
Crank it up.
That's right. All right, it's Bob Rivers here with Zip Zipfel, my dear friend and partner for a total of 15 years, because we've been doing our weekend show about 9 here on the Pike, and we did the WAAF thing for 6 years. 6 tumultuous years, by the way. And and so what you've been listening to for the last couple of hours is a retrospective of the story of the passion that came out of the radio starting at WAAF and continues to this day with some of the legendary people who put their voices on the radio and shared their thoughts with you and lived all those amazing experiences. We have 2 such people in the room now that were super important during the Bob and Zip dynasty, the Bob and Zip blip. They are Alex Wozniak, who was she was the overnight gal for a bit, and she was also a tenant of me and Lisa. So she lived in our upstairs apartment.
I think I got better rent because I did babysitting for you guys too.
Lisa loved you so much. Yes. Oh, and you know, when we had the little apartment in the house, the idea of renting it is like it's kind of scary, right? And so here you are, gone all night.
Right. Yeah, no wild parties going on.
No wild parties
overnight.
for you.
No. I was partying at on air.
I remember
WAAF.
That was funny. So, Alex, tell people a little your passion, how you got into this. Was that your start, overnights?
So that was my. Well, I worked at WBRU at Brown, and so I went there, and
You have the sheepskin too?
I do.
Oh, you're smart.
do,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotta watch it. She's smart.
So I went there, and then I was at some party. Like everybody else at Brown seemed to be like doing these interviews at these fancy dancy places, and I was like, did I miss school the day they told? Like I had no idea, and I knew I wanted to try getting on the air, and somebody came up to me at some party and said, do you want to come work for me it was a station in Providence where I could do some, fill-ins for the summer. And I was like, okay. And then they had the opening at AAF, and I knew Rob Barnett.
Yeah.
And
Steve Stockman?
Yeah.
Did you know him?
Yeah. Knew Steve Stockman. And so, so I got hooked in there, and I was on
Were
air
you on the Brown radio station when you were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were
for like 3 years.
So you were already radio hooked. It's not like you were going to go into investment banking and you took a left turn for this.
No. But I was a little envious of some of the bucks they were making,
Okay.
Yeah.
And talk about how it felt here.
Oh my God. It was, so I would come on the air. I was on overnight, and then you guys would come in after me. Sometimes you'd be cruising in like it was, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, it's, 2 minutes.
You were worried.
2 minutes to 6. I hope somebody shows up. And then you'd come in with that giant cup of coffee.
Yes. I remember that giant cup of coffee. That was my introductory.
You spilled one into the console.
I did. Yes. And let's just not go there. Back to Alex Wozniak. So you did middays for how long do you think you were?
So I did the overnights. I did midnight to 6 for like 84 to 86. Mm-hmm. And then I moved out to California, to San Francisco. I worked at a station KRQR out there, the rocker. Yeah. So I was on the air there, just doing like weekends and, but I had like 3 or 4 shifts a week regularly for 2 or 3 years there. And Yeah,
and then you got out of radio. Tell people what you did.
So I went to work for a company called the Rosebud Agency that was a booking agency and management company. So we booked and managed the Robert Cray Band and John Lee Hooker, J.J. Cale, John Hyatt, a bunch of great musicians. It was really fun working for them. And a great company, but it was a small company, and there wasn't really anywhere to go within it if you didn't want to be a booking agent, and that just wasn't really where it was. And so I ended up kind of taking a left turn and going to library school. So I'm a school librarian now.
You became a useful, contributing member of society. We want a nod to those of us that did that just as well. Oh, Alex, you look the same, by the way. You really do. And
thank you.
Jeff kind of does, too.
No hair left, but...
No, but the smiles, the mannerisms, and the memories of all those great conversations. What's, if I could, some of your favorite moments on the air. Alex, you first, and then we'll shift to Jeff. Just crazy things, biggest bands, promotions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, so when I was on the air, a lot of times I would be the one announcing when tickets were going to go on sale at the Worcester Centrum, because they would announce at like 5:30 in the morning that the tickets were going to go on sale that day. So, and we would get free tickets pretty often to things, but the Tom Petty tickets were going on sale, and I was like, I could be like the first person in line. So I remember I announced it, and I went around the corner, and I got in line. I was the first person in line. I bought 6 tickets. I was like front row center. They actually sold the tickets.
Back then, they were honest, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
No stick it to me, master.
So I was front row center. It was on like the Southern Accents tour or something. And I remember so then I think because I was already going to the show, and they needed somebody, a lot of times at the Centrum, they would have somebody from AAF announce the band. So I got to get up on stage at the Centrum and, for the Tom Petty show. And I got, and I was backstage and Lone Justice was opening, and I got to know those guys a little bit too. So
did you pull this trick often?
No. I only did it. You know what? Like standing in line for tickets outdoors in Worcester in the wintertime is, even if it's just for an hour or two, I think I might have done it for 1 or 2 other shows. I mean, a lot of times we got free tickets to things, to be honest, which was one of the best, benefits, all those U2 shows and,
Now that I'm retired, I'm paying Ticketmaster through the what. All right, Alex. Big cheers for Alex Wozniak.
Thanks
for coming in and telling that story. It's a great story. And we only have a few more minutes, so let's shift over to Jeff Berlin a little bit and say hi to him. Jeff.
Everybody.
All right.
How many current radio stations are you on?
Right now?
And TV?
Jeff
About 70? I don't know.
Wow.
All right. Jeff is an incredible production director, voice talent, whiz in the studio. And I watched him formulate his skills back at WAAF. He was the guy who would go in there and work on something for an hour, and you hogged up the studio. No one else could get in.
Out. Yes. I didn't realize how much animosity I was creating. Sorry.
But you had that, you had this drive, and you would experiment with different ways of splicing tape together. And a concert spot done by you wouldn't be like a typical, here's a little of this song, here's a little of that song. It had a rhythm, it had a punch to it. Talk about your roots there and who are your mentors as far as making great production?
I'd have to credit Dave Lee Austin, actually. He was the one who showed me spliceless production. And I remember one time there was a girl who wanted to go out, and I was doing we get assigned commercials, so I'd do my commercial after I got off the air. And it was a B-52's concert spot. So I said, I got to hurry up and do this because I want to go out with this girl. Instead of spending hours and hours doing it. So the way we used to do it is I'd cue up a hook and then another hook on the turntable and play them and put them in a cart, and then I'd cue up the intro, and then I'd hit the cart and I'd talk over it. Wow. And so in real time, and basically in 20 minutes.
You were mixing. You were actually
mixing.
You were doing it as digital does it now, but you were doing it with analog.
It was a live performance, but it took me 20 minutes, and I put together a spot with 12 hooks in it. And you couldn't do that now with Pro Tools. I mean, it's like the resources you deployed back then to get things done were arguably more effective than the techniques we use now.
How many times you cut yourself with a razor blade?
I did. Bled a lot.
And so after that, tell the rest of your career. And take a full minute if you need.
Oh, a full minute. My career. I started at AF when I was 18 years old. I left and then came back, and then left and then came back. One time when I did nights, I was doing nights from 8 to midnight. Although Alex, I don't know if you and I ever crossed over, but
yeah.
But they gave me Bay State Rock. They said, "We'll let you do a local music show."
That's right. Yeah.
So I called. The reason I called it Bay State Rock is because I'm from Western Massachusetts, and I'm still actually going out there because my mom's sick, and I've been taking care of her. And we had a lot of great bands in Northampton that got no love in Boston. It was all Boston rock. So I called it Bay State Rock because back then.
So you were doing a geographical, just like we were doing in Boston, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, back then, literally the WAF signal, you could pick it up in Pittsfield and Provincetown without exaggeration. It spanned the entire state. So that's why the local music show is called.
And what would you say a biggest accomplishment promoting somebody was on Bay State Rock? Who think of one that you're proud of that got notoriety? Probably so many.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing the Dark and the Atlantics and the Neighborhoods and the Outlets. The Outlets were huge. They came to visit the station. And Rick Barton was the lead singer. He actually just put out a new album. It's really good. It's kind of got a country twang to it. But I can't think of anybody that I'd say I put on the map. and Carmelita obviously took that show over, and she's really did a fantastic job with it, I think, over the years. But no, my big accomplishments were just being I had so much fun.
And being a wizard. You're a wizard.
Your production stuff, I remember, was amazing.
Well, when I left AAF, I went to KISS 108, and I was their imaging director for 22 years. And I actually went back there in 2018. So I was imaging all of KISS 108's stuff 2018, 2019, more recently. So, that's what I did.
Still fun every day?
Yeah, I still love doing production.
Yeah.
It's like playing video games.
How do I hear some of your production? Could someone find you on social media?
I'm not really... I make a living doing voice work now, really.
Oh, okay.
So I do promos for WCOD on Cape Cod, and that's kind of the deal I have with them. I'll produce it, too, if they keep me on as the voice. But
It's
MURTV, Channel 9?
I don't produce it, but, I'll tell you a funny story. I had to go to New York City on Thursday, and I rode the Acela train, and the main shooter... they were freaking out. They needed me to do voice work. I voiced stuff for them while riding the train.
Wow.
And so the noise in the background, and I just gave some, and they're like, nope, we got rid of the noise. It sounds fine. And they put it on the air. And I was like, when I was back in my regular studio, it's like, I can revoice this for you. It's like, nope, it was fine. So.
All right. This is so fun getting to talk to all of you, because as you hear each person speak, you hear their passion for their particular part of what makes a great broadcast outlet. And it's always a team. It's never one person. It's never, people trying to do the same thing. It's a chemistry. It's a mixture. And it's been a real pleasure to say hi to all you guys. Are we almost out of time? Who else do we have? We have 3 people. Ladies and gentlemen, quick, give it up for Jeff Berlin.
Oh, thank you so much.
Alex Wozniak. And bring in whoever you're going to bring in.
And Bob, congratulations on your incredible career. It's been a pleasure following you everywhere and seeing you in the Hall of Fame.
I've been very blessed and very lucky, and a lot of the seeds planted here. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I used to watch you work. It's high praise you're telling me I did genius production work, but that was you too.
Well, when I woke up on time, I did a pretty good job. All right. If you just tuned in, we've been doing the 2 hours of the WAAF and it's really 100 FM The Pike Rock Radio reunion. Reunion with all of the talented people throughout the years who are the reason you still have a live, local rock station that cares about its community in Worcester. And I'm going to tell you, there's an incredible value to that. And it comes from leadership that began 40, 50 years ago and continues to be super heartfelt leadership today. And one of those leaders in this building is Chuck Perks. Chuck Perks, you.
And let me tell you, the guys that are in this studio right now, probably 36 years ago, probably would leader Chuck Perks. What?
Yes.
This intern of mine is, these guys, I started off like you. I started off on 14Q, WFTQ in Worcester, a little AM station, and then segued to WAAF later on. 2 radio stations that I grew up listening to. I was so honored to be able to work for those stations, and it was the best time of my life. And Mark Lawrence, right over here, working afternoons on WFTQ. Jay Bruce on WFTQ in the morning.
Legendary.
I interned for both of them.
You're in the Hall of Fame.
In my mind.
So I interned for both of these guys, and I'd be going to school. I'd come in the morning, early in the morning with Jay Bruce. I'd go to school, come back in the afternoon after school, intern for Mark Lawrence.
Wow.
So that's where my passion began, and for this business and for these radio stations and for these people.
Now, guys, did you think he was amazing or gullible? Just curious.
A little bit of both.
He was free.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, you didn't get rich doing this, that's for sure.
Yeah, good, fast, and cheap. You could only have 2 out of 3. That's an amazing tribute to your friends. And let's ask them a little bit more about their memories of the origins of this, if we could.
I got my job at 14Q when I was on vacation. I came to Worcester because I'd heard great radio operation. You should see it. So I was working radio in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I came to Boston on vacation, visit friends, came upstairs. David Bernstein said, "Would you like to go to lunch with the general manager?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Oh, by the way, my morning man quit this morning."
Oh.
So, would you like to come to work for 14Q? That was the beginning.
You get hired mornings
Yes.
before the coffee, before the interview? Yes. That's awesome. That is great. Yeah. Oh, I think pulling people off the street's one of the best way to do it. Yeah. Some of my best co-hosts, actually.
And Mark, he's been at it.
I was born in Worcester and grew up here, so I can remember WAAF before they played rock, and it was elevator music.
It was elevator music prior to Dick Ferguson purchasing it, right? So
And now
that was the
more
change.
beautiful music.
So was there
WAAF.
was there an outcry amongst beautiful music fans?
Not that I know of.
Okay,
no.
yeah, they don't do a lot of outcrying. Yeah.
I didn't know any beautiful music fans.
Yeah.
But, so when I got the job at 14Q, it was exciting to come back and work in my hometown and, speak to the people that I had grown up with. It was a lot of fun. My first day, however, coming back, I'm a little nervous. I started out at 4 o'clock doing the afternoon show on 14Q. Well, 3:45, there was a thunderstorm. We went off the air for 20 minutes before my show started.
Did you feel like it was your fault?
I felt like my big moment, there would be no listeners left.
Oh, that's awful. That's
there
like
was no one
That's a
listening to this
traumatic
open.
first shift. Yes.
But that's
What
how
did
it
you
went.
do while it was off? Did engineers running around? What was going on? Or was there anybody?
I don't exactly remember what was going on because my mind is spinning. How am I going to do this? My first job. How is this all going to work? Am I going to know where to push all the buttons and everything? Turns out it didn't really matter. I could have done anything. Nobody knew. Nobody could have heard it.
Okay.
The station got bigger after that.
So awesome. Yes.
This
go
is
ahead.
Bill Robert.
Bill Robert. Welcome. How are you?
Excellent. How are you, Bob?
I am. Pretty frazzled right now, but not bad.
A lot of that going around.
This has been a wonderful roundtable of memories, and I don't have any of you, so please introduce yourself.
I'm actually the Johnny Come Lately of the 14Q set.
Okay.
I started out in 1989. I was actually working. I'd been in radio for a while, working at CCM and CGY up in Lawrence, and then came down here to take a job at Channel 27 in Worcester because I'd done radio and TV in high school, and I just we'll hop the
Yeah, and
fence.
what's your job? Are you?
I was a master control tape operator at the time. But,
Okay, master control tape operator.
Yeah, I was the guy who got to play all the church services in the morning.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, for all you Robert Tilton fans out
Were
there,
you
you're welcome.
responsible for putting the scramble on at night on Channel 27?
that was after me.
When they went R-rated.
That was after
All
me.
right, just to show you how it always goes, all of us start at the bottom. How many here ran religious tapes or weekend
Oh, yeah.
tapes?
Church drive.
Number of hands?
Yeah.
Just about it. Almost unanimous, except for Josh Stolen, our producer. Because that's a part of how it goes. Talk about that a little
So,
bit.
and that's actually funny because Zipfel, last time you and I crossed paths was at the Channel 27 staff reunion. Yeah. Actually, one of my friends posted a picture of that the other day. I was like, wow. Yeah, that's like we were there. Yeah. So, but yeah, but after a while, I was like, okay, I'm done. I was really kind of getting the hankering to get back into radio. And at the time, Dave Taylor was looking for some people to do weekends. So I happened to come through the door, and next thing you know, I'm on weekends. And then Mark Vo left to be. Actually, I'm sorry. Was it Mark Vo? Yeah, because it was Kevin Mannix first, then Mark Vo, and then I took over the overnights after that, and kind of did my own branded thing for a while. I called it the 14Q Night Service.
Night service.
And I would do bits and kind of like different things.
This sounds like a movie I could rent on Showtime. Night services.
Or on Channel 27, you just have to make sure you have a time-based corrector to get rid of that scrambling.
What
You'll
did
be all
that
set.
brand mean? I love.
Well,
that.
when I grew up, I was listening to local radio, RKO, and like all the Boston stations. But also, my dad had given me a shortwave radio. So I was introduced to the BBC World Service.
Right.
And so that always kind of stuck in my head. So when I'm like, we'll do the overnight, we'll do it a little different in the night service. And then some things changed. Afternoons opened up, and I wound up taking up afternoon drive up to the point where they pulled the plug.
There you go, pulling the plug. What's that? Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah. Legal
that's-
ID time.
That's beautiful stuff because I'll tell you, I am such a radio geek that I went through phases like that too. I had the shortwave radio, listening for overseas transmissions. I wanted to see some Russian propaganda come by my ears, and
Or you just have like a real dinky AM radio, but at night you're getting like, well, there was one night where I was at my place in Methuen getting California Angels baseball.
yeah.
You gotta love that nighttime AM skip.
I'm going to
It's
ask
just
a
awesome.
question and I'm going to make a confession.
Okay.
Anybody else in this room operate an illegal bootleg radio station? I knew hands would go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting me. The thing about operating an illegal radio station back in those days, and you probably remember this, is that the FCC fine was $1,000 a day and a year in prison. So not only was I willing to work for free, I was willing to go to prison just to be on radio. And anyway, it ended up being a happy story that started here.
I do have a story. Mine actually probably with the power output of my transmitter is probably more like a Part 15 station.
Sure.
But the night I set up my transmitter, I was trying to find like a station that didn't have any interference, and I finally found one. I'm like, okay, it's cool. And I'm playing London Calling by The Clash. All of a sudden, there's a call. My mother calling from downstairs. Hey, can you come down here? Something's wrong with the TV. I come down the TV. It's all snow, and all you can hear is The Clash. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, no. We have the same story. My mother used to come down and unplug my transmitter if it was interfering with the TV. Yeah. She didn't care that I might go to prison. All right. Beautiful stories, everybody. This has been a wonderful, rousing celebration. We got a huge group of people in the studio. 3 cheers for the history of Worcester Rock Radio and all its talented people. All right, this has been a special extended version of the Bob and Zip Show with apologies to everyone who wanted to hear music. Thank you, everybody, especially you, Bob Goodell. It's 100 FM The Pike, Worcester's rock station.
Let's go party.